So you're thinking about making that move to Bend finally in 2025, or maybe you're already here and you're getting ready for a lateral move. You're purchasing or you're selling or doing a combination of the two. And you need to keep your finger on the pulse of the market. Well, that's what we're going to be doing in today's video. It's going to be our monthly market update video, as we do every single month, as we just received our data recently that suggests we are going into more of an active buying and selling season. And that's generally how it works every single 12-month period of time. We have the ebbs and flows and the seasonality that's just based off of, say, the holidays. It slows down in November and December. And then right after the holidays, the recovery of the holidays, January, February, and it's dark and it's cold outside. That's the 4 months where it's very slow in terms of transactional volume, no matter what the rest of the state of the market suggests. So we're getting out of that period of time now, getting into the spring buying and selling season, where a lot of people who are getting ready to sell their home wait for this moment to list. And then a lot of people who are getting ready to make a purchase, they're kind of dipping their toes in the water over the last 4 months. But now is when they're really going to get aggressive or serious about making that purchase because they're expecting more inventory to come onto the market. That's usually what happens starting in March of every single year. So with that being said, and with that in mind, we're going to be jumping into the current data of Bend and Central Oregon as it relates to residential real estate here to give you the most up-to-date service as to what's going on in the market right now, so you're best prepared for your moment when it arrives. If this video sounds like it's for you, stick around. We're jumping into this market update video right now.
Look at this graph.
Hey, if this is your first time to the channel or it's your 50th, it doesn't matter to me. And you want to know everything there is to know about living, eating, sleeping, working, playing, the good with the bad, the current state of the market of Bend and Central Oregon, then subscribe to the channel. Tap that notification bell below so you can be the first to know about the current market happenings here in Bend and sunny Central Oregon. My name's Ryan. I've lived in Bend for over 30 years. My business partner, Zach, and we get calls and texts every day from people just like you looking for help with their next transaction as it relates to real estate here in Bend and Central Oregon. So whether you're looking to make that transaction a reality in the next 9 days or 90 days or beyond that, doesn't matter to us either. Give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, set up a Zoom call, or if you're local, let's go get coffee somewhere. We'll discuss your situation face to face to figure out what the next course of action should be. Now, with all that out of the way, we're into March, and this is generally the time of year where the expectation of activity is to increase. More people are getting ready to list their home. More buyers are getting ready to go into the market with a motive in mind to make something happen, as opposed to just kind of watching Zillow and just kind of seeing what's going on casually. Now it's time to get serious because the right home might come onto the market for you. And with that being said, we're going to be jumping into the local data as it relates to what's going on in Bend right now. The state of the market's very interesting. Rates still tend to be kind of up on the higher end, 7%-ish, but I think it's becoming more of a accepted reality now that it's been this way for some time. We went abruptly down back in 2020, and then we went abruptly up really fast in 2022 and 2023. And everybody kind of thought, okay, this is just going to be the way the rates go from now on. We'll just have to catch the next wave down before the next wave up. Well, that's not how it works. Okay, it did kind of stabilize at 7% to create a new expectation and set a new bar. Now, if that bar is 7%, anything below it could kind of feel like a good time to jump in as a buyer. And that seems to be the direction that we feel like things are going. Will they come down to 6.5%? Will they come down to 6%? Will they even get down below 6%? Maybe. We don't know. What we do know is that purchasing a home or selling a home for your situation is something that you need to address without letting outside influences that are variable affect your decision making. So, with that being said, let's hop right into the data right now because we are getting into that more energetic period of time in the year where activity does tend to increase. So let's take a look at our screen right now and we'll hop into the Beacon report for the month of March version of our monthly update. Okay, so we have our share screen up here. This is our Beacon report. It's going to be our monthly data that gives us understanding of what's going on in the Bend and Central Oregon market. And we are in March of 2025. Crazy that we're already in the third month. But as you can see here, our median home price is once again at $700,000. And that's been kind of the case for the last 12 months, even going back beyond that. $700,000 or more for a base case of a median home price. We can go back as far as April of 2023 before we had consistent median home prices under 700,000. But even scaling back beyond that, a few more months, it was relatively consistent up over 700 and flirting with $800,000 for a median home price for several different months over the last 3 year period. So that is kind of where we're at now. Just going back 4 or 5 years, that barometer, that baseline for a median home price was in the fours to maybe $500,000 range. So crazy things have happened over the last 4 years. Obviously, we know this, but it has also affected the general sentiment of where median home price values are for Bend. And that's going to be the case for other markets as well. If we continue to scroll down to look at other data points that are key in when understanding the state of the market, what we want to look at next is the number of sales. Okay, we had 94 sales last month, and generally speaking, February is one of those slower months, comparatively speaking, with the rest of the year. December, January, and February are typically going to be the slowest months of the year when it comes to transactional volume and total number of sales. That's the ebb and flow that I was referencing earlier in the video that happens every 12 months. The summertime is going to be the busier time of year. The spring season, right now, we're just getting into it. This is where it kind of transitions from, say, a slower period of time into a more active buying and selling season. That's where we're at right now. So we will look to see what happens with March this year. But if we scale back to previous Marches, you can kind of get a feel for the volume ticking up and then getting more and more active as we get into April, May, and June. And that is all based off of buyers and sellers that are savvy and understand the ebbs and flows and the timing of a market. We continue to move down and look further at this data for the month of March. What we see is a consistent level now of days on market over 40. That's 6 or 5 in a row where we've had at least 40 days on the market. That's becoming more of a normalcy, and that provides more balance within the scope of the market. If we had to go back all the way to the previous time that we had 50 plus days on market for a home in Bend, that would date back to January of 2023. But if you look back there towards the end of this chart, this goes back 36 months. What you see is that we had consistent days on market of 10 days or less, and even 5 days or less. That just shows the imbalance of the market that we had for such a consistent period of time during that 2020, 2021, and first part of 2022. When the market was very lopsided in one direction. Now it's a little bit more balanced, which bodes well for both sides of a transaction. Building permits, we saw an uptick in Bend from 29 in January up to 53. So builders are getting more active, getting ready for a better and more favorable time of year to begin construction on projects. If we scroll down to another key component to what reading the market tells us is the months of supply, the inventory available. If we were to look at the very left end of this chart, what we see is less than a month. And that was very consistent for a while during that 2020 through 2022 period of time. And since then, it has slowly kind of gotten better, stronger, more volume in terms of inventory on the market. And we even peaked out locally last summer at 4 months for 2 months in a row. 4 months of inventory. Okay. That gives buyers more options, gives them a little bit more leverage when it comes to being in the market to potentially make a purchase. We're back up to 3 months now, most recently for February, and we can expect more homes to be coming onto the market over the course of the next couple of months. Now, Redmond should be relatively consistent when it comes to some of those key metrics. But if we look at the price now, median home price for a single family residence in Redmond, we're just coming off of its recent all-time high. Its local all-time high is 562,000. That's the all-time high as well, dating back for as long as data has been accumulated looking at the city of Redmond. Now, I did expect a little regression. I thought maybe a little bit more than just 32,000, but our current median home price in Redmond remains strong at 530,000. It's one of the higher median home price months that we've had over the last 3 years. If you look back at this chart and see the last 36 months of data, if we're to continue to scroll down and see what the volume of sales Redmond had was last month, it was 45. Okay, now Redmond is about one third the size of Bend as it relates to population, but the volume of transactions is about one half. So there's a lot of activity in Redmond right now. It's a very popular area, just like Bend is. If we continue to move down, what we see here, days on market, 50 for Redmond. Okay, that is another telling sign right there that Redmond is a popular area, but it's also a little bit more balanced. If we look back, the trends are the same as Bend and Redmond are compared to one another when it comes to the days on market during that stretch where the market was very lopsided. And since then, it has evened out. It's become a little bit more balanced, and that bodes well for both sides of a transaction, of course. Now, if we continue to look at building permits, we have 15. Again, Redmond is about one third the size of Bend, so there's going to be significantly less new building permits that are applied for and granted, but there's still ongoing activity. Inventory, another key component and metric. What we see here is 4 straight months of 2 months of inventory. And if we to scale back again, look at this data here, 3 months to 6 months of inventory is generally the range that you'd want to see for a balanced market. And so Redmond, again, they've had a lot of activity over the last couple of months, recent new all-time high, as well as days on market are relatively higher, but inventory remains a little bit lower than what we would like to see for a defined, balanced market. 2 months, we'll see what happens over the next couple months. We should expect more homes to be coming to the market. We'll scroll down now and talk about our smaller markets here in the Central Oregon area because, again, bigger markets like Bend and Redmond do have some sort of trickle-down effect towards those other markets. And if we get into like the Sisters, the Sun Rivers, Lapine, Jefferson, and Crook counties, what we'll see is wide-ranging, fluctuating numbers because there's such a small volume of sales in these markets every single month. Sisters right now is at 635,000 for a median home, and they had 9 sales last month. Days on market was 8 with an inventory currently at 2 months. Sun River, 841,000 last month. Just a couple months ago, Sun River's median home price, I think, was in the $1.5 to $1.6 million range. That was based off of 3 or 4 sales that month. So you can understand wide-ranging fluctuations when it comes to smaller markets with very small volumes of transactions that occur on a month-to-month basis. But as we continue, we see total sales was 8, days on market's 50, current inventory sitting at 3 months. Lapine, a very fast-moving market as well, one of the more affordable areas in Central Oregon. Median home price is 381,000. Number of sales was 11. We have 74 days on market with 5 months of inventory. Probably the market in the Central Oregon area with the most inventory right now. That's been consistent for some time. If we continue, Jefferson County, that's where Madras is primarily. That's what's going to be represented here. 329,000 for a median home price, 17 sales, 91 days on the market with an inventory of 4 months. And then we see something similar with Crook County and Prineville, 385,000, 26 sales, 38 days on market with 4 months of inventory. So hopefully this provides some context as to what's going on here in the Central Oregon market right now. We're gearing up for that spring buying and selling season. That's when activity tends to pick up. If you are in the market now, or if you are considering jumping into the market, gone are the days where we can simply wait for the perfect time to enter. There's no such thing as the perfect time to enter into a market. Most people will end up deciding, okay, we got to take some sort of action, whether we're buying or we're selling. And when they do that, they tend to think to themselves, okay, am I making the right decision in that moment? When you're signing at the escrow office and getting the keys the day of closing, sometimes you feel like, okay, I'm paying too much for this home. But if you remain in that home and you're in it for the long haul and you're living in it over the next 5 years, over the next 10 years, and you look back at the day that you bought that house and you think to yourself, okay, I bought it for this number and now it's worth this number. Generally speaking, things should look good for you in terms of that decision that you made in that moment. And most people tend to feel that way, especially when they're living in Central Oregon, living the lifestyle that they've decided that they want to go seek, and they find a place that they can live. It generally means that the home they purchase at the time over the long haul is going to bode well in terms of it being a good investment decision for them. If that is you, if you're in that position right now and you would like to seek more guidance on how to go about conducting that transaction, we would love to be the service providers for you in that regard. My name is Ryan. I'm a licensed broker with eXp Realty. Zach and I, we would love to earn your business with regard to real estate here in Central Oregon. If it's your time to reach out, it starts with you. Call us, text us, email us, set up a Zoom call. And if you're local, of course, let's meet up and we can go get a cup of coffee and we can discuss your situation. Thank you for watching this video. As always, we appreciate your support on this channel and we will plan on seeing you guys on the next video.